ultimately that is the point, right? To get back to that Edenic state where we are naked and not ashamed, completely exposed before the Lord, but yet not ashamed. Why? Because He calls us His own.
That's right.
Oh God, nobody believes us this morning. That's the whole point. The whole point is to get back to that stage, back to Eden, where we're in sweet communion all the time. Where this flesh, because see, the thing is, the nakedness points to a deficiency.
Yes.
It points to a deficiency. It never said that, it said that He was naked, so He was naked.
Right.
But yet, because the Lord didn't say it, He didn't know it. So even though He was there with whatever physical flaws, maybe He had, one leg was longer than the other, whatever, it didn't matter.
Right.
It did not matter. Because all He saw was what the Lord said.
Yes.
When we were in prayer this week, I think it was Wednesday night, something Pastor said made me think. He said, hear what the Lord is saying in your most difficult, your most trying circumstances, in the midst of your storm. And so I did something funny. I actually listened to what He said, and I started listening. And the Lord said something profound. He said, deficiency creates dependence. Your deficiency creates dependence. Adam had a deficiency.
Right.
He knew nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. He was naked as a jaybird and he knew nothing. There was a deficiency there.
So he had to depend.
But he had to depend. And because he was dependent, and not just dependent on anything, but because he was dependent on the one that could actually help him, he was empowered.
That's right.
See, oh God have mercy. So often we look at our situation and we look at our faults and we say, my God, I'm this and I'm that. I got an email the other day that says, and you think God can't use you? And it started to enumerate this list. It said, Moses was a basket case and a stutterer.
Right.
Jacob was a liar.
Right.
And it went all the way to the end and said, Lazarus was dead.
Right.
So you really can't get any worse off than that.
Hallelujah.
But your deficiency is not meant to kill you, but it's meant to make you dependent. When Lazarus was wrapped up in the chain, there's nothing he can do. He was wrapped up in bedclothes. He couldn't do anything. But because he was dependent on the way, he said, Lazarus, when the Lord said, Lazarus, come forth, he said, I'm God. He got up out of his windows and he was used. Our deficiencies and our problems, they're not meant for us to be fixated on, but they are there to make us depend on Jesus. Call him by his name, for his name is Jesus. Stand this morning, because if you don't, I'm going to keep going. Our deficiencies create dependence. But see, our problem is that we have this post-Eden mentality when we see ourselves as, oh God, we see ourselves as naked and we are ashamed because of it. Why? Because we see our faults, we see our problems, we see our deficiencies, we see the fact that, I'm a stutter and I hate public speaking too, that's why I believe you. We see all these things about us, we see all the things that our parents said about us, and we see all these things, and so that's what we look at. But the Lord is saying, well, wipe clean all those things. Step one, bury yourself in the Word, because that's the only way to know what the Lord has said. And when you bury yourself in the Word, step number two, pray. Pray without ceasing, because you've got to have dialogue with the one who wrote the Word to understand, because when you pray, you get No. When you pray, you get strategy. See, God is a God of strategies, and it's not just enough to know what to do, but sometimes you need to know the how to do it. And so when you pray, you get the strategies to be able to know how to go forward, how to block those things, how to, whatsoever things are good, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are honest. If there be any virtue and there be any praise, think on these things. That means, okay, when, at work they're trying to tell me all these things, I got, okay, Lord, your word, okay, your word is good. That's the one thing I know is good. Okay, let me meditate on your word. Lord, I know you are good. I don't understand this situation. I don't understand this trial. It looks like I'm about to die. It looks like my family's about to fall apart, but you say, by God, but I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So that means everything. That means if I stay in your word, if I stay and I do what you're telling me to do, I can do this. I know it looks hard, but no, I'm not looking at the situation, Lord. I'm blind in my eyes. I'm not looking at the situation, but I'm looking to you. You say I can do this. Okay, so what do I need to do? The Lord gives us strategies to be able to accomplish that which He's given us to do. Step number three to be able to wipe ourselves and be completely dependent on the Lord is live it. Hallelujah. See, it's one thing to read the word and to study it. And it's another thing to pray and to get the strategies. But there's some things that you just have to apply. You know, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were praying, they say, oh, I pray for strength. I said, you know what? There's some things you can't pray for. You know, I used to, oh God, have mercy. You know, I used to run track. And I used to hate to go in the weight room. I just, you know, but why? I like to be on the track. I like to do the exercise. I like to do the plyometrics. But being on the weights and squatting, I just didn't like it. Especially when I had to go on my own. I had to find someone to drag me out. Why? Because I just didn't like it. But my coach always just said, listen, if you want to be able to do the things that you want to do, you've got to do the things that you don't want to do. You've got to do it. You've got to actually do it. No one's going to make you a faster runner. I used to do triple jump as well. You know, to need to jump, you need to literally suspend yourself in the air. And if you have no thigh muscles, you can't do it.
That's right.
You can't do it. You're limited. So I had to actually get in the weight room and squat. And I had to learn how to do cleans and presses and all these things that I just didn't really like doing. But why I had to do it? Why? Because there was a goal. I had a desire. I wanted to be the best that I could be. And so I had to actually, once I had the strategy, I needed some help. Right. So I had my coach to teach me exactly how to do it. No, don't curve your back so much. Keep your back straight, keep your arms straight, and then just lift it. You know, I had to get some strategies. But once I got the strategies and I knew what to do, I actually had to go and do it. The Lord has given us strategies to be able to get back to that pre-Edenic state, to that Edenic state, and to be able to wipe our mind clean, to be completely dependent on the Lord. But in order to do it, in order to get to that state, we've got to follow the directives. We've got to get into the Word, bury ourselves in the Word, eat it, drink it, sleep it. It's got to be in us. And then we've got to pray and seek the face of the Lord. And then we've got the strategies. We've got to walk in it.
Amen.
Pastor, close us out.
Amen.
Learning to lead. I'm learning to lead. I'm learning to lean on Jesus. Finding more power than I ever dreamed. I'm learning to lean on Jesus. Oh, I'm learning to lean. I'm learning to lean. I'm learning to lean on Jesus. Oh, I'm finding more power than I ever dreamed. I'm learning to lean on Jesus. I am learning to lean. Oh, I'm learning to lean. I'm learning to lean on Jesus. Yeah, I'm finding more power than I ever dreamed. I'm learning to lean on Jesus. We have heard the word of God today. Dependency on God. Wipe my slate clean. Trust in the Lord with all my mind, and lean not on my own understanding. In all my ways, I gotta acknowledge Him, and He shall direct my path. Dependency, utterly, completely dependent on God. Man has truly lost that relationship. We have now gone off to do our own research, for Satan offered something that was seemingly greater than being dependent on the Lord. he offered dependency on self. He said, God is holding out on you, for he knows the day you eat, you shall be cursed. And the connotation is that God is supreme. God is all-knowing. God is all-wise. And what he's saying is that God knows that when you get to that state of good and evil, you'll have no dependency on God, but dependency on self.